Ma'am, the water temperature is adjusted. I stared at the person in front of me in a daze. Zhou Rang at this time was still very immature. Seeing that I didn't speak, he pursed his lips nervously, his face was a little embarrassed, and his eyes were aggrieved and stubborn. Xiaodonga. If you are here to insult me on purpose, then your purpose has been achieved. Please don't disturb me while I'm working. The atmosphere was frozen. My best friend Xiao Qiao wanted to speak to ease the atmosphere. And I grabbed her wrist, then I looked up at Zhou Rang and glanced at his work badge. Technician No. 35. Do you think your job is an insult? I retracted my gaze indifferently. You have a problem with your work attitude. You don't serve customers attentively at all. I want to change people. Zhou Rang looked straight at me. In his impression, I should be humble and flattering to him. In the past, Xiaodonga would never use such a cold tone when talking to Zhou Rang. I lay on the bed and said coldly, "Get out." Zhou Rang's knuckles turned white while holding the toolbox. He moved his eyelids, as if he had been greatly humiliated, and turned away. After everyone left, Xiao Qiao approached me and asked, "Have you been possessed? Before you came, you were still feeling unfair for Zhou Rang, saying that his hands could only fly on the keys and could not press people's feet. Why are you so angry now?" I covered my face with my hands and exhaled tiredly. Looking up again, I smiled. Zhou Rang is not worthy of my concern. Xiao Qiao smiled with relief. I finally thought it through. It's not easy. While we were talking, there was a sudden commotion outside the door. "Let me in. Don't stop me." Jiang Xia rushed in, questioning me with red eyes. "Xiaodonga, why did you insult Senior Zhou? How could he stand such a proud person?" Xiao Qiao frowned. "Who are you?" Jiang Xia turned her head away. "Young ladies from rich families like you don't understand how hard it has been for Senior Zhou and I to come this far. You can only suck blood from your parents' necks. We support ourselves. There is nothing to be ashamed of. Instead, you parasites should reflect on yourself." Jiang Xia is Zhou Rang's junior. Listen, what a stubborn speech. What Zhou Rang likes most is the unyielding spirit of Jiang Xia. After we got married, he would always mention it inadvertently that Jiang Xia was like a flower growing out of a crack in a stone, completely two extremes from the disabled me. I glanced at Jiang Xia's work clothes, and then I remembered that when Zhou Rang came to work at the foot massage shop, she immediately quit her job at the milk tea shop after hearing about it, and followed him the next day. I looked at her and curled my lips, but unfortunately, the owner of this store is the parasite you mentioned. I'm informing you now that you're fired. You." Jiang Xia's face turned pale and panic flashed in her eyes. Zhou Rang hurried over. When she saw Zhou Rang, her eyes turned red. "Senior, I just felt sorry for you, but I didn't expect that Senior Xia was angry." Zhou Rang stood in front of Jiang Xia and frowned. "If you are angry, come to me, don't take it out on others." I really laughed. Not working during working hours, everyone treats this place as your home. I looked at Zhou Rang. "Come to you, you are nothing. You too, pack up your things and get out now, understand?" I pursued Zhou Rang for 2 years. He is a piano genius with a pair of slender and flexible hands. Even the most ordinary songs can be played differently in his hands. He plays the piano and I dance. We were once the most suitable partners in everyone's eyes. Art is originally a major that burns money. In his junior year, Zhou Rang's family could no longer afford to support him in order to stay in school. He agreed to my pursuit. At that time, I was only concerned with happiness and did not see the unwillingness and shame in his eyes. Later, I paid for all his expenses during college. The year I graduated from college, Zhou Rang and I got engaged. But on the day of our engagement, Jiang Xia pushed me and I fell down the stairs and broke my spine. Zhou Rang rushed to the hospital, knelt in front of my bed with red eyes, and said, "Donga, I will marry you." But Jiang Xia is only 22 years old. She is very likely to be invited by a top dance troupe. Can this matter be forgotten? In the quilt, I pinched my unconscious legs and couldn't stop sobbing. "But Zhou Rang, I am also a dancer." Zhou Rang shook and held my hand. Tears kept falling on the back of my hand. "Donga, please let her go." "Okay." Zhou Rang knew clearly that the top dance troupe he mentioned was my dream all along. After the engagement, I could start work. It was just a little bit short. After I was discharged from the hospital, I was half disabled and could never perform on stage again. Zhou Rang begged many people, but failed to save Jiang Xia. Later, he came to see me every day, crying with guilt, saying that it was because of him that I became like this. For a long time, he never mentioned Jiang Xia once. I thought he had really let it go. "Donga, I will be responsible for you, believe me." Zhou Rang looked at me affectionately with his tearful eyes. I nodded with red eyes. My wedding with Zhou Rang went smoothly. He was really good to me at the beginning, until Jiang Xia showed up at my house. I was so angry that I was shaking all over and asked her, "Shouldn't you be in prison? How is it possible?" Jiang Xia looked down at me, took out my dance clothes and shoes from school, and said with a smile, "Senior sister, you left something behind. I came to bring it to you." She stared at my legs and laughed. "But you shouldn't need it now." I rushed to her like crazy and shouted, "Why are you here? Why are you here?" Jiang Xia took a step back and enjoyed watching me fall from the wheelchair and be helpless. She blinked. "I can stand here well, thanks to your good father." I was stunned. Zhou Rang happened to come back at this time. He frowned and looked at Jiang Xia, and hurried over to help me. My eyes were red. I grabbed his hand tightly, and pointed at Jiang Xia. She escaped from prison. You should call the police to arrest her, quickly. Zhou Rang looked at me unbearably. Donga, Jiang Xia didn't escape from prison. Looking at Zhou Rang's calm face, I completely collapsed. He held me tightly and told Jiang Xia to leave quickly. That day I bit Zhou Rang's shoulder so hard that the blood stained his white shirt red. Only then did I know that my father saw that I was depressed and was afraid that I would be depressed, at that time. Only Zhou Rang could make me see a little light in my eyes, and I became extremely dependent on him. Zhou Rang found my father and said that he was willing to marry me and accompany me for life, on the condition that Jiang Xia would be let go and there would not be any stain on her file. My father had only me as a daughter, and he couldn't bear it, so he agreed. Later, Jiang Xia returned to school, and the 2 months she disappeared were beautified as studying abroad. Since then, she has been receiving scholarships and has become a goddess in the eyes of everyone. After knowing the truth, I cried every day and was worried about gains and losses. Zhou Rang treated me better than before, and he was beaten and scolded. After a while, I gradually felt that everything was my fault and Zhou Rang had paid too much. I began to please him carefully. Jiang Xia never appeared again. In the 3rd year of our marriage, Zhou Rang took over my family's company completely. My father had a stroke due to overwork and was hospitalized. I always wanted to see him, but Zhou Rang would not allow me to. That night, they drank until late at night to celebrate Zhou Rang's successful takeover of the company. In the end, it was Jiang Xia who sent him back. In the dim living room, I watched my husband and the woman who hurt me being affectionate. Zhou Rang staggered over and patted my head, saying, "Donga, it's too late. I'm worried about Xia going back alone. She'll stay at our house tonight." After that, he took Jiang Xia back to the room. A door separated us. There was laughter and playfulness inside the house, but it was bleak and cold outside the door. The news that I was no longer Zhou Rang's dog spread throughout the campus. The forum was full of discussions about this matter. Melon Eater 1, bet. Xiaodonga is definitely playing hard to get. How could she suddenly give up after chasing Zhou Rang for so long? Melon Eater 2. I 2A the one above. Xiaodonga is good looking, has a good family background and is very talented. Zhou Rang is definitely a phoenix man. It doesn't matter if he was blind before, as long as the goddess regains her sight. Melon Eater 3. I seconded the motion. I clicked it. Xiaoruan Zhou, if you are too idle, practice more. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that it is Zhou Rang who doesn't like Xiaodonga. She threw herself at him, but no one wanted her, so he had to give up. How shameless. Soon the comment area started to quarrel. This Xiaoruan Zhou was debating with a group of scholars. It was quite interesting. I looked down at my phone, and suddenly there was a shadow in front of my eyes. When I looked up, Zhou Rang looked at me with a stern face. "Let's talk." I took my things and turned to leave. Anyone who wants to talk to him now feels sick to look at him. Donga, Zhou Rang caught up. Seeing me walking faster and faster, he stood there and shouted, "Xiaodonga, don't make me angry. You know the consequences." I was stunned. This sentence was often said by Zhou Rang, who cheated on me after marriage. The memory of being beaten by him by the hair came to my mind, and my body couldn't help shaking. I turned around slowly, and he was standing not far away. That look was definitely not the forbearing Zhou Rang now. He walked slowly towards me and finally stopped one step in front of me, just like calling a dog before. He stretched out his hand with confidence. "Come here." I froze in place, and Zhou Rang always had a faint smile on his face. After a while, I looked up and then took a firm step back. In Zhou Rang's stunned expression, I said, "Fuck you." I turned and left, and Zhou Rang gritted his teeth behind me. "You will regret it." At the corner, I leaned against the wall and panted heavily, with cold sweat on my palms. Even if the surface was calm, but the memory of being PUA for many years still makes me instinctively afraid of Zhou Rang. I kept comforting myself that I had started over again, and Zhou Rang was now just a student with nothing, and he couldn't do anything. But I was still very uneasy, and this panic continued until I heard a familiar song. This song swept all major platforms as soon as it was released in my previous life, and it was very popular. Its author was an unknown pianist who lived in a basement for 3 years. The story behind the song made people sad and moved, but now, the composer's signature has become Zhou Rang. I cursed inwardly for being despicable. It's a pity that no one except me knows Zhou Rang's disgustingness. According to the time note in the previous life, the original author now only has the prototype of this song in his mind, and he hasn't even had time to write it. I'm afraid even he himself thinks that he has a brainstorm with Zhou Rang. As before, this song is becoming more and more popular, and many people come to buy the copyright. Zhou Rang has become a hot commodity in the entire college for a while. He solved his financial difficulties with this song. The days of not being able to pay tuition and eat in the previous life never appeared again, although I despised Zhou Rang's behavior. I couldn't produce any evidence and could only watch this villain prosper. I saw Zhou Rang again 2 weeks later. He played a song, Wedding in the Dream, downstairs of the girls' dormitory. Under the street lights, Zhou Rang was dressed in a suit, but his eyes were extremely arrogant. He was surrounded by flattery, and those little girls were so excited that they were almost out of breath. After the song, Zhou Rang stood up and looked at the crowd, saying affectionately, "Xia Xia, be my girlfriend." Zhou Rang looked at Jiang Xia with burning eyes. and the classmates cheered one after another. I looked at Jiang Xia from the window of the dormitory and was so moved that she covered her mouth, tears in her eyes, and nodded vigorously. I do. The two hugged each other. Zhou Rang saw me. He held Jiang Xia in his arms, raised his head, hooked his lips, and raised his eyebrows at me. I rolled my eyes and drew the curtains. Zhou Rang and Jiang Xia were in a passionate relationship. They pried open the door of the music classroom late at night, played the piano and danced inside, and were chased by security guards halfway around the campus. They violated school rules and took commercial performances, became an instant hit on the internet, and became a fairy couple that netizens envied. They kissed and took photos on the stone statue of the piano, which symbolizes the faith of musicians. Jiang Xiao's white feet stepped on the piano keys, and Zhou Rang half knelt to carefully paint her nails. Of course, none of this has anything to do with me. After rebirth, I cherish every second, especially the feeling of being able to dance freely with my legs is so fascinating. I prepared for the dance troupe exam a year in advance. When I danced in the practice room until my clothes were soaked with sweat, I felt fulfilled and happy. Zhou Rang, Jiang Xia, your behavior has seriously affected the reputation of the school. After discussion among the teachers, it has been decided to give you two a warning. When I heard their names standing at the door of the office, I was still a little dazed. I knocked on the door gently. The instructor saw that my frown relaxed a little. I handed over the form in my hand. Teacher, here is the list you asked for. The instructor took it and looked at Jiang Xia. You and Xiadonga are from the same profession. Her current ability is not inferior to those who have been in the dance troupe for several years. Look at you. You only know how to do some fancy things all day long. Learn more from your senior sister Xia. Romance is useless in our industry. Strength is the hard truth. Jiang Xia forced a smile and nodded, but the look in her eyes when she looked at me was sinister and vicious. Okay, your disciplinary college will wait. Zhou Rang interrupted the instructor and smiled. Teacher, please take a look at this before deciding whether to punish us. He handed the instructor a piece of music. The instructor was more and more surprised as he read it, but my brows were getting tighter and tighter. I looked up at Zhou Rang. He looked at me without any guilt, and his eyes were even very proud. Teacher, you are also a professional. You know the value of this song better than me. Zhou Rang took Jiang Xia's hand to comfort her. I haven't published the song yet. I can add the school name in the signature. As for the punishment, you don't want me, a living signboard, to be tarnished, right? The instructor was silent, put the music score on the desk, and said, you go back first. I will discuss this matter with the school and then give you an answer. Thank you for your hard work, teacher. Zhou Rang nodded and walked out of the office with Jiang Xia. I said hello to the instructor and chased after him. Zhou Rang, wait a minute. Jiang Xia saw me and immediately stood in front of Zhou Rang with hostile eyes. Xiadonga, are you shameless? He is my boyfriend now. I stared at Zhou Rang with eyes that were about to catch fire. Zhou Rang patted Jiang Xia's head. Good boy, go back first. He leaned close to Jiang Xia's ear. Haven't you always wanted to join Xingshi Dance Company? I'll give you a surprise in a few days. Jiang Xia smiled and hit him lightly. Then you are not allowed to get too close to her. Got it, baby. I endured the nausea and waited for Jiang Xia to leave and asked, you stole someone else's song again. You know better than anyone that the song was used by teacher Yutong to save his lover's life. Can you live with your conscience? Zhou Rang sneered. What can I not live with? Yutong wrote this song half a year later. At that time, his wife was in the late stage of illness. What's the use of the song becoming popular? It's better to add bricks and tiles to my resume and play its role. Teacher Yutong is your mentor. He brought you out of the mountains. Zhou Rang roared. If the song becomes popular and I have money, I will lend him the surgery fee. I am helping him. I was stunned. Zhou Rang's worldview refreshed my bottom line again. You are too shameless. You keep stealing other people's works. There will be a time when your music will run out. Sooner or later, everyone will find out that you are not worthy of your reputation. Zhou Rang smiled indifferently. That will probably take several years. At worst, I will openly admit that I have run out of ideas and retire behind the scenes. Everyone will only regret it and always remember that I, Zhou Rang, was a young genius. At that time, I was rich and famous. So what was there to fear about rumors? Zhou Rang approached me with a hateful look. Xiadonga, you know you regret it now. Right, I gave you a chance. I'm sorry. The first thing I did after I came back was to find you, but you didn't seize the opportunity. Now I am a talented person in everyone's eyes. And you are the poor abandoned person. I will make you and your stupid father get the punishment you deserve. I was puzzled. What does this have to do with my father? Zhou Rang's eyes flashed with disgust, and he sneered. Do you know why I came back later than you? Because after you died, I fled there for a year. All this is thanks to your father, that old thing. I could have used your husband's identity to take over all the shares of the Xia family, but who knew that you dad had a backup plan? On the day your death was announced, his lawyer donated all his shares and handed over the evidence that Xia pushed you downstairs to the police. Xia was disgraced. When she was caught, she ran to the main road and crashed into a truck, killing her instantly. She was 3 months pregnant at that time. Zhou Rang became more and more excited. Your dad deserves to die. He even arranged for someone to investigate your death in advance and wanted to send me to prison. Because of him, I escaped for more than a year. An old man with a stroke should rot in a nursing home? Why did he come out to hinder me? I was stunned. My dad had been in the hospital before my accident. It turned out that he knew everything. He even arranged everything for me before he fell down. My eyes were dry. Xiaodonga. Now that I'm back, it means that God thinks that I shouldn't have that ending. What your Xia family owes me and Xia should be paid back little by little. I slowly looked at Zhou Rang, my eyes red, and murmured, yes, it's time to pay it back. You participated in the examination of Shengshi dance troupe in your previous life. You should still remember the dance moves of the first place, right? Zhou Rang said with a clear conscience, copy it and give it to Xia. This first place must belong to Xia. I clenched my hands tightly and sneered, okay. Zhou Rang was very happy that I was so sensible. Xiaodonga, admit it. No matter how many times you do it again, you will still fall in love with me, don't worry. As long as you are obedient, I will consider it. Zhou Rang left proudly, and I looked at his back. My eyes became colder and colder. There are still 3 months for the assessment of Shengshi dance troupe. Jiang Xia got Zhou Rang's signal and came to the practice room to find me every day. I also tried my best to teach her to dance. Jiang Xia looked at her with sarcasm. Goddess Xia is just like that. She spent so much effort to choreograph the dance, but she still has to give it to me. It seems that Zhou Rang told her that this dance is mine.
Yeah.
I just don't know if you can handle such a good dance. Don't worry about it. I will definitely dance better than you. Jiang Xia is very confident and hopes that she can look down on the world like this on the day of the test. While we were preparing for the test, Zhou Rang was not idle either. He signed up for an unknown competition. The scale of this competition is very small. But who would have known that such a small competition would attract the attention of international masters after the competition? The first few members who participated in this competition later became famous bigwigs, because Zhou Rang had accumulated a little fame before. After he participated in this competition, the competition received attention earlier than in his previous life. Relying on other people's famous songs, Zhou Rang won the championship in this competition without a doubt. The master who had been watching the competition behind the scenes naturally noticed Zhou Rang. But what I didn't expect was that on the day the final rankings were announced, it was not the master who presented the award to Zhou Rang. When a slightly younger face appeared in front of the camera, I was stunned. In the live camera, Zhou Rang frowned slightly, obviously dissatisfied with this person giving him the award, but it was not easy to get angry in front of everyone. He stared at the trophy with a mercenary look, which was in contrast to the calmness of the person next to him. The man looked at Zhou Rang and said with a smile, I have listened to your previous works. Each of them is very good. Can I ask you a question? Zhou Rang kept looking at the trophy. His tone was indifferent and even a little impatient. Ask. The man didn't care about his unreasonableness and was still polite. I want to know why the emotional span of your songs is so large. For example, your first original song is about hope and love. But the emotions of the second song are very heavy and sad. The interval between these two songs is only about half a month. What made you make such a big step in such a short time? Zhou Rang's expression paused, and there was obvious panic in his eyes. The reporter's flashlight was facing them, trying to get first-hand information, but several minutes passed, and Zhou Rang still didn't say a word. After a while, he said calmly with a gloomy face, creation is a very private matter. I don't want to talk about it openly. I can't answer you. The man paused and nodded in understanding. Sorry, I was abrupt. When a person becomes famous, he will be infinitely tolerated. Zhou Rang's behavior was naturally excused by everyone, and attributed to the artist's quirks. After the competition, Zhou Rang became a new star in the piano world and was very popular. He hangs around in various business places every day to make friends with the rich and powerful. I haven't seen him in the piano room for a long time. Also, the champion of the competition would be accepted as a disciple by the master, but in this life, except for a gimmick, the master never showed up again. Although it was strange, it might be the butterfly effect after rebirth. So I didn't think much about it. After Zhou Rang became famous, he got to know some local people who were still influential. The first thing was to make trouble for my father's company. During this period, my father was very busy and I didn't see him a few times a week. Zhou Rang called me, said, this is just a small warning. Teach Xia well. Do you understand? I clenched my phone. Okay. After I finished teaching the dance moves for the exam, Jiang Xia never came to the practice room. I just familiarized myself with it several times before the test. Soon, it was time for the test of Shengshi Dance Company. Jiang Xia prepared her dance clothes early and asked a makeup artist to make her up. She appeared at the test site in a radiant way. The test was fully transparent and open. All candidates could watch it on site, and the whole process was recorded. The strength of the first few groups of candidates was similar, and the teachers seemed quite satisfied. Jiang Xia was standing behind me and whispered, I really don't know why you are here. You are humiliating yourself. I curled my lips and nodded. I look forward to Jiang Xueme humiliating me. The examiner called my name over there. I ignored Jiang Xia's sarcasm and walked forward. When the music started, I danced with all my strength, just like I had practiced for countless days and nights. In an instant, the noise around me disappeared. I felt a light shining on my head. And I was wearing the most beautiful dance costume, dancing the dance I loved. When the music ended, I opened my eyes and panted slightly. It was very quiet around me. So quiet that I could only hear the sound of my breathing. I don't know who took the lead in applauding, and the applause was warm. I smiled and bowed. When I left the stage, the sister next to me came forward to congratulate. "You danced so well." Everyone was stunned just now, and the judges kept nodding. "You must be stable this time." "Thank you." I was not modest, because no one knew better than myself how much effort I had put into preparing for this exam. I will continue to work hard to make myself worthy of these flowers and applause. Tisk, why are you pretending? Jiang Xia rolled her eyes at the side. Soon it was her turn to go on stage. I have to say that Jiang Xia has some talent. She didn't practice dancing carefully, but she had good innate advantages. Although there was nothing particularly outstanding in the dance, she didn't make any mistakes. It's a pity that the dance was performed in a standard way. I had expected a little from her. Jiang Xia's performance also received a lot of applause because of the innovative angle. She left the stage with her head held high, not noticing that a senior teacher in the judges' booth frowned. Jiang Xia deliberately bumped into me when she passed by me, and smiled. "Sorry, senior sister. I stole your limelight." I curled my lips and looked at her without saying anything. Jiang Xia was frightened by my gaze, and snorted coldly and walked away. My eyes moved to the judges' booth. And the frowning teacher said a few words to the colleagues around him, and then they looked at Jiang Xia vaguely. Jiang Xia, who was originally confident of winning, also felt something was wrong at this time, and pinched the hem of her skirt nervously. All the candidates could have left immediately after their performances, but we were all left behind. Then the scene was blocked, and the organizing committee also came. Everyone whispered and made all kinds of guesses. Fearing that this matter had something to do with them, I waited calmly, but Jiang Xia couldn't sit still. She came to me quietly and said in a panic, "Xiadonga, did you do something?" I smiled. "Jiang Xia, you are not afraid of your shadow if you are upright. Why are you panicking?" Jiang Xia gritted her teeth. "If you destroy me, Brother Zhou Rang will not let you go." I had no expression on my face, and I ignored whatever she said. The people from the organizing committee brought a computer, and they compared it with the assessment video repeatedly. The atmosphere became more and more solemn. Several teachers stared at Jiang Xia. Their eyes were about to spit fire. Jiang Xia wanted to contact Zhou Rang, but her mobile phone had been handed in long ago, so she couldn't contact the outside world. Half an hour later, the organizing committee announced on the spot that Jiang Xia's test results were invalid. "Why?" Jiang Xia asked loudly, and her delicate makeup was slightly distorted. The talent of the organizing committee didn't care whether she was satisfied or not, and continued, "Not only will the results be invalid, but the Jiang Xia candidate will be banned from participating in any form of examinations and competitions organized in the next 5 years. Also, we have called the police on this matter, and we need the Jiang Xia candidate to cooperate with us and go to the police station to explain clearly how you stole the confidential dance project that has not yet been announced." As soon as the voice fell, the whole audience was in an uproar. Jiang Xia was also panicking. Her eyes were red and her voice was trembling. "I didn't steal it. It wasn't me." She looked at me. "I know. It's all your fault." She pulled my arm and tried to explain. "It was her. She taught me all the dance moves this time. You catch her." My eyes were red. "Junior sister, you must be panicking. This is the first time I've seen you dance this dance, and everyone knows that we don't have a good relationship. If I knew such a beautiful dance, why would I teach you? Bitch, you knew it a long time ago." "Right." I weakly let Jiang Xia push me down, tears filling my eyes. "Junior sister, it doesn't matter if you hate me. It's all my fault. Calm down. Don't scare other students." Jiang Xia screamed and rushed over, and was held by the security personnel. Other students helped me up to comfort me. I wiped away my tears and looked up at Jiang Xia with contempt. This action caused her to scream again. I hid in the crowd in fear and watched her go crazy. It was the same in my previous life. Jiang Xia was always weak. What she did to me with her T words, she returned it double now, because Jiang Xia insisted that I leak the dance moves to her. The organizing committee also investigated me, but they found nothing. I have to thank Zhou Rang for this. In order to prevent Jiang Xia from getting hurt, he rented a practice room at his own expense when practicing dance, and destroyed all the surveillance. This was to prevent me from having evidence to prove that I taught Jiang Xia the dance, so as to take away Jiang Xia's glory, but he never thought that this would make it easier for me. After all, I have no clues that can be linked to the confidential dance project, and Jiang Xia and Zhou Rang are well-known troublemakers in the whole school. What forbidden areas are they afraid to break into? It is natural that they steal a dance. What's more, Jiang Xia and Zhou Rang and I stand guard on the forum homepage every day. The organizing committee knows that the three of us don't get along with each other after a little inquiry, which further proves that Jiang Xia is desperate. And I was a victim from beginning to end. This incident was very serious. Jiang Xia was persuaded to drop out of school and faced imprisonment. "Xiadonga, you plotted against me." Zhou Rang blocked me on the street. The red bloodshot in his eyes told me that he had been running around for Jiang Xia these days. I smiled. How could that be? I did everything you asked me to do. Zhou Rang was furious. I asked you to help Xia Xia win the first place, and this is how you helped her. I looked at him like a monkey. Don't you always like to steal things? This time you stole a big one. Why are you still not satisfied? Xia Dongge, I will make you pay the price. Zhou Rang left in a rage, and I took out my mobile phone and made a call. You can get ready to start. After that day, Zhou Rang was anxious. He began to run around major business clubs, busy expanding his network. Finally, at a large cocktail party, Zhou Rang hooked up with a female boss. This female boss is a famous entrepreneur, with a fortune that can't be counted on two hands. Following her, Zhou Rang did meet many people from the upper class. I heard that their new fun recently is that a group of people drink and chat downstairs, and Zhou Rang plays music next to them. If you are interested, you can go up and touch them. Zhou Rang can only smile and serve the rich ladies and rich brothers, when Zhou Rang felt that he was already very familiar with the rich woman. He took the opportunity to ask the rich woman to help Jiang Xia clean up the mess, who knew that the rich woman was furious and scolded him for being an ungrateful thing who couldn't tell who was the master and who was the slave, and dared to mention his little lover in front of the gold owner. Zhou Rang's face turned pale with fear, and he quickly comforted her. When I heard this, my stomach hurt from laughing. To say how I know? It's because this rich woman is my aunt, my daughter. How long are you going to act? I get annoyed just looking at that pretty boy. His shameless thoughts are all written on his face. It's boring. Auntie complained while lying on the sofa. I lowered my eyes. Yes, Zhou Rang's thoughts are always written on his face. I was the only one who was blind and couldn't see it in my previous life. It's almost done. Just hold on. Auntie poked me helplessly between my eyebrows. My dad didn't know that I was looking for my aunt to cooperate. He and my mom were in a free love relationship. My dad had nothing at that time. My grandpa didn't agree with this marriage, so my mom got married secretly. My grandpa was very angry and said harsh words. My mom was also stubborn and rarely contacted my family since then. After giving birth to me, my mom's health became worse and worse. She thought about many things clearly and regretted breaking up with her family. Unfortunately, she passed away not long after she reconciled with my grandpa. After that, my dad and I rarely contacted this place, so Zhou Rang didn't know the situation of my grandpa's family in my previous life. Last time I heard Zhou Rang say that after I died, my father had a backup plan. In fact, I guess that my father went to ask my grandfather for help. He was already in the hospital at that time. Even if he had great power and vision, he couldn't have predicted that far ahead. The only thing I could think of was my grandfather's, after rebirth. I often went to my grandfather's house. Although the old man said he didn't welcome me, he always prepared my favorite food by himself and took me to drink tea and play chess. My aunt also loved me very much. She wanted to cry when she saw me. Later, I asked my father indirectly, and he didn't deny it. He told me to get closer to my grandfather. Zhou Rang saw that there was no hope with my aunt, so he started to think of other ways. He wrote 10 songs in a month, which caused a sensation and was hailed as a divine song harvester. When I saw the news, I cursed him as an idiot, and then made another phone call. You can start. 3 days later, when Zhou Rang was at his most famous, a person who claimed to be the original author released a video. In the video, he talked about his process from conception to creation, as well as the time of manuscripts and electronic manuscripts. All kinds of evidence pointed out that his work was exactly the same as Zhou Rang's new work just released. It would be fine if it was just one person, but more than a dozen people posted the same content at the same time. Zhou Rang was at the center of the hotspot, and various media came to report it. Zhou Rang urgently did public relations, crying, I know that I am too outstanding and some people will be jealous, but I didn't know they would be like this. Every song is my child. If I plagiarize, you don't need to sue me. I will go to jail myself. Public opinion was polarized. At this time, the author of the video hit back. Because I don't have much money, I have been reluctant to change the piano, so there is a note in the song I created that is not quite right. People who understand can hear that the tune is wrong, and Zhou Rang's score even copied the wrong note. Zhou Rang wanted to refute, but the appearance of a person completely defeated him. He was a gentleman with glasses. The video showed him and his wife fighting cancer. He took out a sheet of music and said, I wrote this piece of music half a year ago. I was in grief because my wife was ill, because the style of the music was too heavy. I didn't want to fall into the quagmire of negativity, so I never released it. But a few months ago, I heard it, and the person playing it was still my student. Teacher Yutong was full of heartache and questioned Zhang Rang from a distance. There is a sentence in the second paragraph of the music score that is written with my wife's nickname. If you say this song is yours, can you explain it? Everyone was arguing fiercely, and a netizen said in the comment area, in fact, the styles of the songs released by Zhou Rang have changed too much. It is impossible for a composer to change his composing habits so easily in a short period of time and write so many at once. Of course, if he is Cardcaptor Sakura, then ignore what I said. Originally, this comment was quite heavy, but it was forwarded by a big man in the circle, and it soared to become a god comment. The big man who forwarded it is still an acquaintance. He is the man who asked Zhou Rang questions at the competition. Later I learned that this person was a foreign piano master and the junior of the world-class master that everyone was looking forward to, because he had just returned to China and was low-key. He rarely appeared in front of the camera. With the reposting of authoritative people, everyone regained their rationality. Some bloggers even made a track analysis video to expose the fakes one by one. In the end, Zhou Rang was hammered to death, and I watched all this behind my phone, not surprised at all. A text message came in on the phone, saying, "Boss, the task is completed." I quickly settled the balance with the other party. Yes, I did all this. I asked someone to contact the original author of the song that Zhou Rang stole to confirm with them whether the song was being created. When I found them, several people had fallen into deep self-doubt, because after hearing the song released by Zhou Rang, they thought they just had a collision at the beginning. But the more they created, they found that what they wrote was exactly the same as Zhou Rang. They despised themselves, felt that they were not worthy of being a composer, and even wanted to end themselves at one point. But the culprits of all this are enjoying their dividends and eating the blood of others with peace of mind. The person who surprised me the most was teacher Yutong. When I donated money to his wife, I learned that he had written a song. The music score that was sealed in the corner of the bookshelf, every word was tearful. Teacher Yutong actually wrote this song when his wife was ill, in his previous life. He didn't want to put such a sad song on the shelf, because he felt that his wife would still be healthy without this song. Unfortunately, the family's savings were used up in the end, and teacher Yutong had to release this song, and no one knew these in the previous life. This made Zhou Rang step into a big pit. Plagiarizing the work of the mentor will be spurned by everyone in any industry. Coupled with the pressure of public opinion, Zhou Rang fell from the clouds to the mud. He was completely finished. The last time I saw Zhou Rang was in a nightclub owned by my grandfather. My aunt was talking about giving me the store as a birthday gift, and there was a sudden noise in the opposite room. A disheveled woman and a man covering his hand rushed out. "Zhou Rang, are you still human?" That old man could be my father. Jiang Xia rushed out with a fruit knife. Her makeup was smudged, and she sat on the ground crying with despair on her face. Zhou Rang was sweating and covering his hand, and his wrist was bleeding. It looked like he would never be able to play the piano again. I signaled the person in charge to clear the place and learned the reason. Jiang Xia was in jail for a year because of what happened back then. Then he looked up at Zhou Rang and glanced at his work badge. "No, I'm not here." Who knew that the big boss was almost 60 years old, and Jiang Xia couldn't accept it for a while. So he picked up the fruit knife on the table and injured Zhou Rang. Hearing this, I took a step back. "Xiao Wang, we have to call the police. Our store is a legal and regular healthy place. This customer is not allowed to do anything. It ruins our reputation." Zhou Rang only realized that the boss was me at this time. He didn't care about his bleeding hands and rushed forward, but unfortunately he was held down by the bodyguard the next second. "Xiadonga, it's all your fault. You made me like this. Why don't you just die? You should just die like in your last life." I pinched his chin and applied a little force. Zhou Rang's jaw was dislocated. I leaned close to his ear and sneered. "I, Xiadonga, have never been a good person. I take revenge when I have a grudge and I take grievances when I have a grievance. Do you really think you can become so famous by stealing a few songs, if there is no capital behind you to fuel the flames? If I don't want to, you can't even show your face. I just want to praise you high and then trample you into the dust, so that I can offset 1/10,000th of the pain I had before. Stupid, you have been following the path I planned for you from the beginning, first to glory, and then to death." Zhou Rang glared and roared helplessly. I wiped my hands in disgust and asked someone to throw them out. Zhou Rang was right in saying that his rebirth was something that even God couldn't stand. If Zhou Rang, who has no memory of his past life, were punished now, he would probably still feel that he was innocent. How good it is now. He will live in regret forever with the memory of 2 lives. By the way, the case of his plagiarism was officially sentenced not long after. The sentence was quite heavy, enough for him to have no worries about food and drink for the rest of his life. I also successfully joined the Shangshi dance company and became the chief dancer 2 years later, standing on the world stage. A world without scum is so good. I walked through every corner in the sun with my family.